God knows what Gerard has in the list at this point.
My deck list has a ton of 1-ofs, so my deck list is just way cooler than yours, honestly.
Well, he has a bunch of matron targets, I assume, is the reason.
Yeah, but it doesn't make my deck any cooler.
Right. So let's go over our sideboards really quick here. I'm trying to see if he has anything. He has a single lightning bolt, 2 engineered explosives, and 2 kitchen things, which is like, I actually don't think they're particularly good against goblins.
They are not particularly good against goblins.
It's fine. It's just like a durable threat because it's so hard to attack on the ground. Just a guy that's a little hard to just trade 1-for-1 with is okay. But Kitchen Finks is not the monster it is against goblins as it is against decks like Zoo or Burn.
Correct. The sideboard over here, this is not a matchup, in my opinion, where Cabal Therapy should come in because it's actually just playing the lottery, trying to hit a card,
Right.
and a lot of its effects are redundant anyway. So if you take like a Thoughtseize, like you're leaving it with an Inquisition of Kozilek, something like that. A lot of the cards that are in Jesse's sideboard aren't really terribly helpful in this matchup. One card that could be useful are just the 2 copies of Pyrokinesis.
Sure.
But I mean, two Pyroblast, 2 Red Elemental Blasts aren't going to do anything here. 2 Perish isn't going to do anything here. A Meltdown is not going to do anything. 2 Chalice of the Void, relatively useless, and 2 Relic of Progenitus, relatively useless. So,
Yeah.
2 Pyrokinesis to be able to basically kill some of those creatures, get rid of Stoneforge, Mystic, something like that, but not a ton of help.
Yeah, I mean, all of Team Italia's creatures, with the exception of the controversial hero Bladehold, relatively susceptible to Pyrokinesis. I mean, his creature base is Tide Hollow Sculler, Stoneforge Mystic, Grim Lavamancer, and Dark Confidant. So Pyrokinesis can handle like 2 copies of any of the creatures that are presented that way. So.
It looks like, because Jesse did win game 2, Cody, is going to be on the play game 3. So we will see how things go here. This Goblins deck list is a red-black Goblins deck. The splash is for, again, Cabal Therapy. There's 1 Orange Weirding in the main deck, and then the rest of the cards are going to be red. And he's playing those black spells off of 2 Badlands and a handful of fetch lands.
So the War and Weirding is basically just a tutorable Diabolic Edict.
Correct. There are occasions, and they are rare, where you're going to want to target
Get a little fancy.
yourself and get a little fancy, but they are rare. As we do see an Aether Vial from Jesse, which is one of the more important cards in this matchup. Trying to hit with a Goblin Lackey against Team Italia is relatively difficult between the blockers and the spot removal, but Aether Vial will let you, again, play your spells for free, and basically build up those Matron chains and those Goblin Ringleader chains.
Right. Especially because the Team Italia deck has like so many attrition elements between like Wastelands and Hymn to Torok and the point discard. Aether Vial is really important in allowing you to build up a critical mass of like just to be able to go up your chain, because it's very hard to do against like all the disruption that Team Italia presents.
We'll see what he's going to play here. It could be a Tide Hollow Sculler, potentially a Dark Confidant as well.
God knows what.
Yeah. Team Italia, unpredictable.
Could be anything. So I think he has Dark Confidant in his hand as well. Dark Confidant's a little risky to lead with because if he takes a vial to 1 if he has a 1-cost Goblin, and then Jump Palm Incinerator. That's the risk he's running right now.
Yeah, now, they do have access to each other's deck lists, so what you'll find here is that there are only 3 Gem Palm Incinerators, so it's not as large of a risk as it normally would be. But again, it is a small risk that he is taking by casting Dark Confidant. But you're just basically in the situation of make him have it.
Yeah, it's also possible that he would just lead with Lackey instead of Vial if he had it anyway.
Sure.
It's not 100% there's even a Relic of Progenitus. Okay, I guess he probably just had bad cards to sideboard out or something.
And we'll see
there's a
Goblin
Lackey. So that's sort of representing that he has another.
We'll see a Grim Lavamancer here knocking Cody down to 18.
Yeah, one has to assume that represents having another Lackey if he's willing to cast it.
Yeah. I mean, the other 1-drops in his deck list that I'm looking at right now is 1 Skirk Prospector that he can matron for, and yeah, nothing else. You're not going to find any Mog Fanatics here.
Yeah, we would have definitely seen a Mog Fanatic by now if there was one hanging out.
Without question. Let's see a tap for 3. This looks like a Vindicate.
Like I said, who knows?
Yep.
Could be Lingering Souls, sure.
Lingering Souls, yeah. Bad guess on my part.
Yeah. Could have been some random 3-mana creature from Apocalypse casting off a swamp on the plains.
Death's Rest for 1. We're going to see Vial get activated.
All right,
he
there's
does
a second
have
Lackey.
another Lackey here.
This would be a spot where Pyrokinesis would be good, to put it mildly.
Very, very good. So let's see what Jesse can do to get through here.
Although without, if he doesn't have Pyrokinesis or some sweeper, he's in a pretty bad spot. I mean, the Dark Confidant's starting to go unchecked for a while. I know that he has a Matron in his hand, but he can't vial it out this turn. So if he casts it, that's, again, his turn, and that's another turn of Confidant getting to do his thing. Maybe to draw a discard spell for whatever Jesse finds off the... For whatever Jesse finds off of the Matron if he casts it.
So he does activate Relic of Progenitus to get rid of Lingering Souls, making it not as insane as it normally is. He's going to
cycle here.
Cycle it, hopefully get a card deeper into his deck.
Yeah, Gem Palm Incinerator being the big draw that he has here. I think that was just another Wooded Foothills. So let's see here.
Decisions.
Another relic.
Interesting to see these relics. Like, what exactly does he, besides Lingering Souls, is there anything specific that he really wants to remove from the graveyard?
There is not really anything that I can see here. It's possible he just feels he has cards that are bad and he wants a cycler, but it's basically just Lingering Souls.
As we saw, Swords of Plowshares revealed to Dark Confidant, dealing Cody a point of damage, and his normal draw step was a Vindicate.
So as Team Italias want to do, we have any number of weird plans afforded to us. We could go on some sort of kind of land destruction kick if we're feeling it. We can try to control the game with our plows, like try to keep the creature count low. I mean,
we can take a journey.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I had to feel there's some attractiveness to try to vindicate, like going vindicate your Vile, play Lavamancer.
So we're going to see Stoneforge Mystic here, likely search of a Batter Skull. But I mean, Cody does have a ton of things that he can do this turn. He has Vindicate, he has the Swords, he has the Lavamancer.
Well, I think you want to get Jit, right? If it's there, just start. Put Jit on a Lingering Souls token and start going to town.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, that's obviously the other option. Both cards are a nightmare.
Yes.
For goblins, they both require a Tuk-Tuk Scrapper to deal with. I can see. I mean, getting an active Jit against goblins is likely more troublesome for them to come back from than a Batter Skull.
Because like goblins is pretty good at just like gumming up the ground with doofuses.
Yeah, I mean it is good at gumming up there on doofuses, but it doesn't trade well with a germ token at any point. So.
Okay. I will definitely concede to your expertise in the matter.
It's not an enjoyable experience to play against either card. And when we're debating between should he search for, Batter Skull, which is, the nuts A, or Umezawa the nuts B, it's just lose either way.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, I mean, a little of this is biased because I have, obviously we can see Jesse's hand and whatever, but I feel like given that he hasn't shown Gem Palm Incinerator or Pyrokinesis, like the, he would have played them by now, had those cards been afforded to him.
Sure.
To me, there is some attractiveness to just having gone Vindicate the Vile, play Lavamancer, because if he can't break up the Lavamancer, then you have total control. And because he hasn't really done it, he's been spinning his wheels the whole time. It's reasonable to expect that he's leaning very heavily on his Vile to be able to start playing out his hand.
And just to generate an advantage overall. Too.
Right. And then if you blow up his Vile, well, now all of a sudden, like, your Wasteland on his Badlands becomes another play that's opened up to you.
Sure.
So, again, part of it, obviously the fact that I have that information gives me, can bias what line I want to take, but I do feel like there is something to be said for just vindicating his Vile, because he hasn't really been doing anything else.
And those Goblin Lackeys, as they stand right now, are relatively blank cards.
And this is where it starts.
Alrighty, Goblin Matron. And we do see a Gem Palm Incinerator.
So yeah, this makes the Jit line a little bit more complicated if he just holds up Incinerator mana. It's not like Cody's in a bad spot, but...
Yeah, not at all. He's going to kill the Stoneforge Mystic right away.
Okay. He could really use a Pyrokinesis right about now.
It couldn't be much better right now.
It wouldn't surprise me if he... Okay, so just going to run the lackeys in.
I like this attack quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Cody's under... He's obligated to block here.
I mean, hard to say if he wants to block with both guys, but I mean, you know, he gets to decide how he wants to do his blocking. But like trading a lackey for a Lavamancer is awesome.
Right, I mean, if Cody is doing this block, to me, it means that he was way too aggressive attacking with those Lingering Souls tokens last turn.
Sure.
Because this is not like unforeseen circumstances. It was like he had a Gem Palm Incinerator, and now this is happening.
Sure.
Means I think he probably should have been a little more conservative with his attacks last turn. Because if either one of those two guys sticks, I mean, the game is so much easier.
Jesse thinking his turn through.
I assume he's wondering if he's just supposed to blow his relic here to cycle to look for action, or if he's just going to pass. I mean, the Jit is going to get online here.
Yeah, it's up to Jesse. He has an out to it and Tuk Scrapper, so he can beat it even though it is difficult. And there is Umezawa's Jit equipping it to a Spirit token, and we'll see if he gets in with one or both. That'll be an attack for 2.
Yep. So the Jit's going to get 2 counters here. And so now Jesse's under a ton of pressure to find either, I mean, Matron for Tuk Scrapper, or just Tuk Scrapper, period.
Because we're going to see a cycle here. We're going to see an activation of the Relic of Progenitors. Not sure if we're going to see him cycle it to draw a card. Not just yet.
File's going to stay at 3 for the time being.
And with Matron, quickly. Makes me think he has another Matron, which he does.
Yep.
And so he can search for Scrapper here and has the mana to cast it.
Bang. I would assume it is still somewhere in his deck.
I mean, his options at 4 are...
There it is, yeah.
He's going to search for the Scrapper. Okay, his other options at 4, for people wondering at home, is our Krinko Mob Boss, and of course, 4 Goblin Ringleaders.
The boss.
Or as I call him, Krinko End Boss.
Yeah.
That's what I call him.
Yep. He is a combo with haste, which is something the Goblin deck is quite good at doing.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Also, doesn't do so bad with Goblin Pile Driver either.
Yeah, it's not shabby. All the cards very good with haste. Does he have only War Chiefs, or does he have a Chieftain? He has 1 Chieftain and 4. Okay.
Yeah. And we are going to see Tuk Scrapper come into play. Target Umezawa's Jeet, and we will get some use of the Jeet in response.
I would guess we would gun down the Matrons.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And then the Scrapper is going to ding him for 1 for killing the Jeet.
Way to go. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, the 1 point is much more relevant than the Jeet dying. I agree. I could not agree more. Alright, so ball on Cody's court. We know he has a Vindicate. We know he has a Sword Supply.
It looks like his hand's 2 Vindicates, a Plow. It's not exciting.
A Thoughtseize now.
Okay.
And we're going to see a relatively good hand.
You got a Sharpshooter, a Mog War Marshal, and the Boss.
And Krenko End Boss.
A M13 Superstar, a nice singleton addition to Goblins.
Yeah, it's not a bad card.
Yep. I was trying to make him have it in Standard for a little bit. You have Chieftain plus him, but...
Try and live the dream.
Yeah. Problem is that one of them dies, and then the other one's not that good.
Yeah.
This should have been fairly easy to do, you know.
But you need to play a few games to find out for yourself.
Sometimes you just got to find things out for yourself.
That's
you know?
true. So, I mean, this is a relatively tough decision for Cody. I mean, he does have 2 removal spells for he does have 2 removal spells in his hand for the other 2 cards, but you know, he wants to make sure that he gets this correct.
Yeah. It's also just, you know, the fact that Vile's enabling it means that the guy coming out at instant speed means that his sorcery speed answers don't work, and it constricts his development also because he has to kind of leave up white for plow for whatever guy he's worried about.
And he's only working with 1 white mana source right now,
Yeah.
as it is. Now we are going to see another Dark Confidant. An attack for 2, which is going to knock Jesse down to 13. We'll see an activation of Relic of Progenitus. He's just passing the turn back, holding up Swords to Plowshares, which Jesse does know about due to an earlier Dark Confidant reveal.
And he just drew a War Chief, which changes things a little bit here. Although now his vial's up to 4 now, so he can do 2 things in 1 turn.
Yes.
Still, not a bad draw.
Rarely is. War Chief rarely is a bad draw. Now he's going to want to think through exactly what he can do here.
Pretty insane that all these goblins, or a lot of these goblins, were legal at the same time, like in standard and block.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things when Goblin, like around Scourge, when they printed War Chief and Pile Driver and Siege Gang and all that stuff, I was so far against playing Goblins, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It was like so powerful, and I was that guy who was just like, I'm not going to play the best deck. I can beat the best deck. And I lost a lot of everything.
I lost
playing
it.
Just
Lost it all.
Money, sleeves, cards, just all of it. Playing against Goblins. No play that turn. No play and no attack. Curious play, as we see a Grimlock Master revealed for Dark Confidant. Badlands being the draw step for Cody.
I mean, his hand now is just flush for the removal.
I mean, to me, and you can let me know if you disagree, it seems like the only card that's really keeping Jesse in this game is the Aether Vial.
Yeah.
Just because it's enabling him to play 2 spells a turn. Like, if he draws a Ringleader, it's going to be free instead of taking up his entire turn. It seems like that Vindicate is, and especially because he has a second one, should be used on that Aether Vial at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I would have blown it up like 3 turns ago. So, preaching to the choir here, but like, when I'm like kind of uncertain about, like when I'm ahead in a game, and when I'm not, when I'm ahead in a game and I'm like trying to figure out like what play to make. Often the logical process I start with is like, if I lose the game here, what is it likely to involve? And I believe if you asked Cody that question, the answer has to be like, it has to do something with that Aether Vial. Like, that's the only thing that's powerful enough that allows him to like overwhelm all the removal that that Cody has built up in his hand.
So we see the turn being passed back. We're going to see a Relic of Progenitus activation on the end step by Jesse. We'll see if he's going to blow it now or not.
Like, Ringleader Siege Gang is a...
See Krenko being put into play. And we're going to read this just to see what it does.
So this is going to induce I assume this is going to induce a plow? Like now?
He says that's okay. That's interesting.
Does he need a hold for the sharpshooter or something, or?
I didn't think we were going to see him on tap with that Krenko. I'm very interested to see exactly why that's going to get the opportunity to make it at least 2 at least 1 goblin.
Right.
Maybe 2, maybe 3.
And those tokens definitely matter when it's like you have Dark Confidant and Grimlock in play. I mean, it's
yeah, those tokens aren't. It's not like Swords. It's like Swords trading off of tokens is like a good thing. It's like.
Yeah. I mean, part of the problem now with like, the Vindicate on the vial is that Cody only has 1 white mana. So like, if he goes to Vindicate the vial and he has like creature to respond with and then untaps, it's like now your plow doesn't break up anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's why when you brought up Vindicating it, a couple turns back, I didn't disagree with you because again, this is the only card that's really keeping Jesse in the game. I mean,
now he has to really sweat any like Ringleader Siege Gang type draw because
Yeah, because then it just gets him right back into the game.
As
into a
opposed
game
to,
that
like,
he's clawing back into pretty well.
he draws Ringleader. With the Vial not in play, it's like he draws Ringleader, and like, you know, that sucks. You definitely don't like him drawing a Ringleader, but at least it's like it's his whole turn, and then you get to react. Like, you have all the information about what he's drawing and whatever. With that Vial in play, I mean, it could be, I mean, you can just die out of nowhere.
As Jesse just plays another Aether Vial and is going to pass the turn back to Cody. Cody again opting not to swords at the end of turn. Going to have a confident reveal. That's going to be a scrubland.
That's actually very important because the second white source of mana here is very helpful.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. Also drew a Divining Top for the turn. Alright, so organizing his mana here.
Looks like we're moving some cards around to consider a Vindicate this turn. Vindicate is going to target Krenko.
Okay.
We're going to get an activation for looks to be...
I assume we're going to... Oh, we can't... Can we not Lava Mancer response because of the relic?
Yeah, it looks like there's only one card in the
we just don't have a graveyard.
See what Cody's going to do here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his response is other than... I mean, I don't think he wants to plow the Scrapper, which is like kind of the only thing that would make sense as a potential response here because it's one less token. But he is tanking. Okay. So we get our 2 tokens. Comes prepared.
More than I would do. We're going to see a Lingelbach activation.
Okay. Yeah, it was unclear if that Confidant was removed or if that was in the graveyard because it was some sideways angle.
And now we're going to see something. This is a
Divining
Divining Top.
To help a little bit with the, you know, obviously with the Confidant.
And he's still going to have Swords to Plowshares available to him, and we're going to have attack with at least one, and looks to be a second Spirit token.
I mean, Cody, even though he's like, you know, the control deck here, he still needs to kill quickly because there's so many huge draws the Goblin deck has.
Yeah, Goblins can catch up. They can catch up very, very fast.
I mean, a Siege Gang and like that's your board.
Yeah.
Jesse tanking here, and it's possible he wanted to just relic in response there.
Potentially.
I mean, I guess the fact that he had Wasteland up means that he's still... But he tapped the Wasteland to cast the initial Vindicate, so... Can't really get a good look at Jesse's hand, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish we could really... I wish we had a better idea of what we were thinking about this turn, just the thought process and potential lines of play.
I mean, how many more turns does Jesse have here? He's got like 3 roughly is a good estimate.
That's a good question.
Answer between like
we're gonna see a Cavern of Souls, likely naming Goblin and passing the turn back.
Yeah, I would assume Goblin. Okay, we're gonna top here at the end of the turn. Looking at explosives, Source of Plowshares. And Marsh Flats. Okay. On tab, we're able to float a 0 to the top, I assume. There's explosives.
And then we draw another Swords for the turn.
Yep.
So I think his hand has 3. I think his hand, excuse me, has 3 Swords of Plowshares in it now. So removal for goblins is not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And that's not even bringing into the bringing Grim Lavamancer into the equation.
Yeah, I mean, really, the one threatening card left in Jesse's deck is Siege Gang. I mean, that's the one thing that can undo all of this work.
We see an engineered explosive for 1, which can take care of both of those vials and the Relic of Progenitus. And as long as he's careful, it will not take care of the Sensei's Divining Top, but it will also take care of the Grim Lavamancer. So
yeah, a lot of ins, a lot of outs.
Indeed.
All right. Yep. He's willing to just trade the Lavamancer with a for a token at this point.
Yeah, because he's going to lose it anyway.
Yep. And he also has no graveyard, so it's not. It is just Iman's Goblin Raider. I would assume that that Jesse's going to take the hit here and fall to 6. No, we're gonna. Okay, we're blocking.
Okay. So the explosives kind of shuts off the Siege Gang commander out now too. I mean, he can still naturally draw it, but then it just gets hit by Swords of Plowshares, and he's left with 3 tokens.
Well, the tokens still kind of matter.
I mean, the tokens aren't bad by any means. It's just before for the previous couple of turns, if he had drawn Siege Gang commander, could vial it in, have the free mana to be able to throw the tokens at whatever he wanted to.
So uses Divining Top and draws.
And some Marsh Flats.
I'm not sure why he wanted to draw there.
Oh, because he doesn't want it to die.
Oh, sure, yeah, okay,
he
okay.
doesn't
He's just
want it to
popping
die.
the explosives now?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna cantrip off the Relic in response here. Yeah, he has like 1 shot to use the vials here before they go out, and nothing to do.
doing. So now we have tokens. Tokens. Just versus a lone Goblin token. I know he's been sandbagging a Goblin Warchief for a really long time.
I mean, he
If we
needs
have
to.
that
I
correct.
mean, he's trying to. He knows there's so much removal there, right? That he has to set up some sort of hand that can, like, vial in stuff and do everything in 1 shot.
Yeah.
Like casting a random war chief here would. There's no spot would have been particularly good.
Yeah, that's true. And it looks like we may have a small
Some
life total
life
discrepancy,
discrepancy.
so the gentleman will get this worked out momentarily.
But yeah, I don't think. I mean, he's. The thing for all of this is like Jesse's still. I mean, Siege Gang is still semi-alive here, right? Like.
No, I don't think Siege Gang is an out now at all. He can play Siege Gang Commander, and then the actual card Siege Gang Commander just gets hit by Swords of Plowshares.
Right, but then your actual like war chief turn can actually set into something. Like you just need to get a saturation of things on the table.
Sure, like I would agree with you if Cody didn't have 3 Swords of Plowshares and 2 white mana to cast them, but like now Siege Gang Commander, it's never going to have the opportunity to like throw things at it because he has to use his full 5 mana just to cast it, and then Cody basically gets to dictate how the game goes because he just has 3 swords if he uses.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the Siege Gang ever gets online. I'm saying that he actually, like, with Cody being low enough, he actually can, like, saturate the board, right? Like, he's still, you know, the clock's still relatively slow here. It's like 4 turns off. If he plows, then it becomes 5 turns.
Well, we're going to find out.
All right, yeah, I guess we're
going to find out right now which one
Okay.
of us is right.
Okay, so we have
Live
Siege Gang.
TV.
Yep. And that's a Tarn.
Yeah, Scalding
Okay.
Tarn. And his 3 swords and a Vindicate.
Yeah, like I think he would ideally like to Vindicate here because he's still kind of damage racing, like the damage from the life gain from the plow matters, but
Sure.
he kind of just has to cast this, I think.
It's going to put Jesse up to 9. Bob is going to reveal Sensei's Divining Top.
Yep.
Going to put Cody down to 7. And he draws a Scrubland for the turn.
Counting. I mean, can he cast like all of his removal in one turn?
With the 3rd white source, he can play Vindicate.
Yep.
And then, yeah. Both of these swords. Looks like he's going to be casting Vindicate on something here.
Is it time for the token to bite it? Oh, we have a Lingering Soul. Okay.
No, jeez.
There's.
And then he can flashback.
And still leave up 2 plows.
And still leave up 2 plows. And it looks like that's what he wants to do.
The Lingering Souls is a real breaker here because just the clock goes from 4 turns to,
to like 2 turns, yeah. And we're going to see the Sensei's Divining Top as well. And so he's going to have 1 swords available to him. And
it's a little risky here to cast the top. I mean, I guess, like, can't you just, like, block with your Confidant and not have to worry about blind revealing and keep 2 plows up?
Yeah.
So, trying to get a look at Jesse's hand here. He still has that, we know he still has that War Chief.
War Chief, yeah. Not really sure what else he has. Cody's guess is as good as ours. Let's see, it's cycling of Gem Home Incinerator targeting Dark Confidant. And now we finally see the War Chief being cast. He's finally pulled the trigger on the Goblin War Chief.
Yeah, but the plot's still up.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna leave the War Chief to. So the War Chief's not getting in?
Odd. I don't know what good holding it back does.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he doesn't want to offer it up against 2 tokens, but.
I mean, he wants to get those tokens off the board.
Right, it's fine,
Those tokens are what are going to kill him.
Yeah, because if you actually were to like trade off 2 tokens for the War Chief here, then Pyrokinesis means you're clear. Like.
Yeah. A little bit surprised that the War Chief is just still hanging out there, but I mean, we also don't know the contents of his hand, so there could be a reason for that. And we do know the contents of Cody's hand, so.
All right, so we're gonna break the Tarn.
This, go down to 6. And going down to 6 is something he could not do previously because there were 6 tokens.
Yeah, it was lethal.
So I do like clearing some of those guys out of the way so that going down to 6 is safer.
Yeah, I'm still kind of surprised by that War Chief hanging back.
One mana spell.
and there's a sharpshooter. And now,
I mean, now he's just gonna have to
he
use
has
the
to plow the
swords.
war chief like now.
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is. All right. But now our war chief is actually, I mean, he still has one plow left over.
Yeah, he has one.
Vindicate. He has Vindicate.
Okay.
But again, like the goblins like is still hanging around here. I mean.
Yeah, I mean it's actually relatively important for this, like, as we see a swords.
A Lily, is it a Liliana? And yeah, it looks like swords Liliana land.
Okay. It was relatively important that Sensei's Divine Top revealed something relevant, which it looks like it has.
And now he's actually in a position where he can actually even just hard cast Pyrokinesis if he were to draw it.
Yeah, assuming that it's in his deck.
Yeah. So now the question is, like, he wants to, ideally he would like to reveal a 0, but I also think that he wants to draw a Plow plus Liliana this turn, which means that he has to reveal one of them and take a point.
Sure.
So he floats the Liliana?
Okay. I believe Liliana's on top of his deck, yes. Okay, now Liliana's going to be cast right now. Starts at 3, likely going to go down to 1. Okay, Vindicate there. Sacrifice here.
Okay.
Attack there. This is going to put Jesse down to 5.
Which this is also, I mean...
Interesting that
he's not. Now next turn is not lethal.
Yeah, he's not on a 2-turn right now. Ringleader, best draw.
Was it a ringleader?
I don't know. I'm just saying out loud. Ringleader, best draw.
It wasn't a ringleader.
It wasn't a ringleader.
We're going to combat.
Yeah. I'm just gonna attack.
I mean, if he was not going to attack, he's certainly willing to block.
And this one feels like a land, maybe a pile driver. Okay, Goblin pile driver. We're gonna wasteland his something.
Whatever. I mean, he actually shouldn't. If he's gonna wasteland, he needs to wasteland the wasteland, because if Cody gets to untap and wasteland him, then he can no longer cast Pyrokinesis.
Yeah, if it's been boarded in, he can't cast it.
Yeah, so all right, if you're gonna waste something, I guess it's the wasteland. So I assume we'll top in the upkeep here.
Looks like it with a basic swamp, and we do know a sword is hanging out there. It looks like a
Thoughtseize. So I assume we'll draw the plow.
Service. I think it's Cody playing so conservative.
Has actually given him Jesse so many draws.
Yeah.
Again, this is sort of, I was talking about this before. It's like, Jesse's in the controlling position, but he actually doesn't have all day because the more powerful draws are actually in Jesse's deck.
Yeah.
So now, like, all right, well, if we draw Pyrokinesis,
or Goblin Ringleader.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna make him.
Just
to move Liliana up. See what this is.
Is there even a chain of events he can Ringleader into? Okay.
Yeah, I mean he can Ringleader into Jump Home and
Incinerator. Okay.
Yeah, ice one of the tokens, kill the Liliana if he wants to, but in the end, doesn't matter.
Cody Lingelbach moves on.